Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Manifesting Muslimah. I'm your host, Zara Pedersen, and today we're going to talk about the cost of your manifestation. Now, before I continue and talk about what those things are, I really quickly want to say if you hear a little bell going off in the background, it's the kittens playing with their favorite toy and it's got a little bell in it, and I don't have the heart to take it away from them because they're going to be leaving me this week, which alhamdulillah, I'm actually really happy about because they're going to go to a much better home, inshallah, in Germany and be taken off the streets, which of course I'm super excited about for them. But yeah, I'm going to miss them. I have really been so happy having their small little furry bodies gracing this tiny house of mine. And yeah, they will be missed. But yes, if you hear that in the background, that's just Fungus and Mushroom playing with their favorite toy. So do forgive them. And as I said, I think it was the last episode or the one before that. If you hate that noise, just remind yourself that you're hating on two little kittens. So shame on you, really. Sounds like something you need to work on. Okay. So with that being said, let's go straight into this episode. So the cost of your manifestation, well, that sounds a little bit aggressive or dramatic or whatever it might be, like uncomfortable to hear because like what? I have to pay something for my manifestation. What does that mean? Well, it means that when we're manifesting something in our life, usually it comes at a cost. And it might not be the cost that you immediately are thinking of. So the first thing, I've got four costs of your manifestation that I'm going to get into today. And the first one is it's going to cost you the old version of whatever your new manifestation is going to look like. That is the first cost. And I know that probably quite a few of you are like, that's not really a cost, like I'm willing to let go of it. But while we might sometimes be willing to let go of it, sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult in practice than in theory. And that is because the old version of whatever it is that we've got to let go of is something that quite often we have attached ourselves to. There might be emotions involved. There might be people involved in that old version of whatever it is that we're trying to manifest a new version of. Wow, that was really loud. And so for that reason, it might be more difficult to let go of the old version of whatever it is that we're trying to manifest. I'm going to take a couple of examples now. For instance, you want to manifest money. Now, a lot of us can probably agree, like, I'm ready to let go of the old version of me that's broke or struggling with money or whatever. But in the practice of manifestation, letting go of it means also not complaining, even if you're still not seeing the money. And that is a part of the old version that can be difficult to let go of. It has to also be the old version of you that's not trusting that money is going to come in. It's the old version of you that thinks you're greedy if you want more. All of these things are part of the old version. The new version of you don't think about these things. The new version of you is just abundant. Money just comes easily, right? So all of those things, it's not just what it might look like materialistically in front of you or whether or not the bills are paid. It is also the mentality, the mindset around it that you have to let go of. And that includes something like complaining about the bills coming in, sitting on the bills for weeks instead of just paying them immediately when you have the money, when they come in. So we're like procrastinating, hoping that if we just postpone it, then it might not feel like we've paid all the money. Listen, whatever the reasoning, we've all done it once or twice before, right? That is also the part of the old version that you have to let go of. And in those little habits, for some of us, there's comfort. There's like that familiarity. And so it can be really difficult for us to trust the new version coming in, especially if it hasn't come in fully yet, meaning we're still in the transitioning period. But in reality, when you want to manifest something, you have to let go of it immediately. You have to say, that's part of my old version. I am now entering the new version. And as I'm doing that, I'm literally cutting like cords or cutting ties with that old version of me, meaning I'm not even thinking the same way about those things anymore. And when I catch myself thinking in the same way, I cut it off. Like when I catch myself doing something that the old version of me would do, I correct it immediately instead of allowing it just to happen. That is manifesting. It is an ongoing piece of work. And it means sometimes that, you know, you have to let go of things that feel like second nature to you, especially when it comes to something that is very mentally focused, like money. Let's take something else, like something that is more physical in terms of manifesting. We're going to take another popular example. I want to manifest a partner. I want to manifest a marriage. Anything to that effect, or a family. Well, Now, again, immediately we might think, oh, I'm happily letting go of my single life. But then at the same time, we might not be so ready and willing to jump into relationships because we feel like we have to give up a lot of the luxuries that we have as single women. And trust me, there are plenty. And this is coming from a divorced woman. You know, there are definitely a lot of luxuries that are to be had as a single woman versus a married woman. And there are a lot of luxuries of being married versus being single. Both lives can be right in their own way and have their own luxuries, right? And one does not exclude the other. And for a lot of us, those kind of hesitations can show up in the way that we do things, our mindset around independence, about finances in a relationship, who takes care of what, our roles, our identities as individual women going into relationships. So even in this, there's so much that we have to let go of and put into that old version that we have to let go of in order for us to step into that new version of the manifestation, okay? And in the old version, there might also be those mindset things that might be blocking us. Men cannot be trusted. Men only want us for one thing. I want to work. Maybe, men don't like women who are successful. All of these things have to be put in the back burner of the old version of you. We're not that person anymore. We are the person who knows and believes and understands that the right person has been created for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has literally said this to us. And we are embracing that by stepping into that part where we now are open to meeting this potential partner of ours. And we're doing it from a position where our mindset and our physical life in the 3D also reflects that. So we're going in with the mindset that is supporting us meeting a genuine, serious partner that'll do good by us. And we're also doing it with a understanding and perhaps an already rearranged everyday life where we have made space for this person. Now, I can't remember who it was who said this, but I'm pretty sure I heard it in a podcast about if you want to manifest a partner, the first thing you should do if you live alone is, on your bed, you might have your bedside tables. So clean one of the bedside tables, make the physical space ready. Now, you might be like, no, but I don't want to live in this house when I'm married. That's irrelevant. It's the point of you physically showing Allah also and yourself, your energy, your vibrations, your thoughts, everything. I am making the space. I'm decluttering and physically and emotionally and mentally making the space for this person to come in. And while that person might not come and live in this specific house, I'm already signaling the willingness for me to embrace this new life of mine. It could also mean downsizing some of your clothes or like clutter in general or whatever. I was going to say clutter, but then I kind of stumbled on that word. I don't know why. But kind of like going in and, just decluttering everything in your life, making space so that, if you have to move into a partner's house or the partner has to come into your house or whatever, there's space. You don't have to think about it later. Think about your finances. Think about the way that you're living your life now. Is that the reflection of the life you want to continue living, but with a partner? A lot of us hold on to things that are like, no, I'm just doing this because I'm single. But like when I get married, I will start or I will stop or I will whatever. And the reality is, no, let go of that old version of you. You're already stepping into a reality where you're already married. He's not in your physical reality yet, but he's coming. So everything is in that preparation mode, right? You go into the exam, you don't start studying 10 minutes before the exam or 10 minutes during the exam. You study up to it, and then depending how the exam is in your country, you might draw a subject and then you're like, okay, I've got to niche down on this specific subject, and then you might study up a little bit more. And that's kind of the same thing with marriage. You get yourself ready to be in a relationship, do your therapy, do the counseling, do whatever you need to do, rearrange your house, figure out your finances, whatever it might be. And then when you meet the person, you study in on that person, like, okay, how do our lives mix and match, and how do we kind of come together? And that's kind of like the point where you don't broaden anymore and you get more specific to that one person. But again, that requires that you let go of the old version of things, the old version of what it is that you're now trying to manifest a new version of. And that can be, again, as I said, something so energetically loaded as money to something as physical as manifesting a new partner into your life. Okay, so the second thing that this manifestation will cost you is the work. You need to do the work. The amount of times I come across a lot of you and a lot of you message me saying, like, I'm doing the vision boards, I'm doing the affirmations, and listen, all of this is good, but if you've been around for a while, you know that this is the fluffy work, this is the romantic work, this is the Pinterest worthy work, but this is not the real work. The real work requires you to sit down and take a good hard look at yourself, figure out what's going on inside you. What's your mindset saying? What are your beliefs around this thing? Where is it coming from? And how do you go about changing it? And the amount of people that I see skipping this step and hoping that the fluffy work will carry their heavy load for them is insane. You need to sit down and do the work. It's kind of like saying, well, I've seen a lot of people play the piano, so now I'm just going to sit down and just kind of let my fingers move across the piano keyboard and hopefully like I'll play a good tune. And every now and again you might hit 2 notes that kind of go well together, maybe sometimes even 3, who knows. But the point is, you're not going to sit down and play Beethoven or Mozart or something like that. You're literally going to play rubbish. And while, again, as I said, you might hit a couple of notes that kind of match and kind of are not that horrible together, chances are you're not a master at it, right? You're not going to master the piano just by watching other people do it and maybe, I don't know, watching 1 or 2 tutorials on YouTube on how to play the piano. So you need to sit down and practice the piano. You need to understand the notes. You need to understand how the keyboard works. You need to understand the little pedals underneath. See, I'm not a piano player, so I don't know if all of these things have like more specific names or anything, but this is just an example, of course. But you need to understand these things, and if you don't understand these things, it's that much more difficult for you to sit down and actually play a tune that makes sense and is pleasing, not just for yourself but for other people as well, and draws people into your world and be like, wow, this girl is a beautiful musician, I want to sit down and listen to her play a tune. All right, so you want to do the work. And it, again, with the manifestation, quite often it's the mindset work that people will try and skip because that's the boring work. This is not the interesting Pinterest, Instagram worthy, social media worthy work, because a lot of that work is so freaking vulnerable, because you need to sit down and maybe, again, taking the example of money or love, you got to figure out, why don't I feel worthy of it? Why am I repelling it? Why do I self-sabotage when I'm about to be successful in it? Whether it be money, love, you want something specific, you're trying to get a job, whatever it might be, these things matter. And the more you know yourself and you know your mindset and your belief and the way that it operates, all of these things, the more successful you will be in your manifestation journey. But it requires that you sit down, and not just one time and then it's done, repeatedly over a period of time, and get to know yourself. Understand why you keep coming back to the belief that it's greedy for you to earn more money. Understand why you keep coming back to the notion that a man is only going to find you worthy if you're a virgin, or if you don't make as much money as him, or whatever it might be. Sit down and understand, where are these thoughts, mindsets, beliefs coming from, and what and why is it not true, and how to change it. That is what you need to do. And this is ongoing, repeated work. I got the course called Belief Breakthrough. It's linked everywhere that I got a link, and that will literally take you through that process. It was the first course I created, and it is stacked full of everything that you need to know in order to go through this process. And in that, every single video, I think, in that course, I tell you, this is not a one and done thing. Who've been in the law of attraction world for quite a few years at this point, and in the coaching world, repeatedly come back to this kind of work, because as I change and evolve, so does my beliefs and my mindset. As I experience new things, so do those experiences have an impact on my thoughts and the mindset that I might have in that moment. And so it's so important for me to constantly come back and check in with myself. Hold up, what's going on here? Why do I think this? Why do I behave this way? Why do I keep holding myself back in this arena, or whatever it might be? And then deal with it, so that when I then decide, okay, I'm ready now to take the physical step of doing something, whether it be posting a video or meeting a person or making money or whatever, I have myself to back myself up. I'm not relying on the externals to back myself up, because if I'm constantly relying on the vision board or an affirmation that some stranger random person on the internet wrote, or a meditation that somebody published, then I'm relying on all of those things to do the work for me. In this case, I'm fully responsible for myself and I'm relying upon myself. And if I'm on my own side, darling, that is guaranteed success. That is guaranteed success. But if I start questioning myself because I haven't done the work and I haven't understood what's happening inside of myself, or I don't know why I'm thinking the way that I'm thinking, or why I'm behaving in a way that I'm behaving, and I just keep thinking, oh, I'm the poor me, I'm a victim of circumstances. No, I keep failing because I fail to recognize that I am the only thing in the way of myself from getting from A to B. I am the only thing that can stop me from doing the thing. Listen, I don't know if you heard the episode that I published last Monday, but if you did, you'll know that I'm in Italy right now. I've studied journalism and I'm a coach right now, law of attraction coach. And I'm in Italy and I don't know Italian. And somehow I got a job at a veterinary clinic, an Italian veterinary clinic where people speak Italian. And I don't have any degree or any experience in it. But somehow, because I was open to the opportunity and the experiences, that came in and it was the right opportunity and experience for me. So I accepted it. But logic would be like, no, that's impossible. That can't happen. But it's happened. I'm literally living proof of it right now. And so don't let all of the rest of it get in the way. This is literally just you against yourself. And so you need to sit down and do the work. And the more you keep postponing it and procrastinating on it, the more you're postponing and procrastinating your manifestation. That is the reality of it. How much do you want your manifestation? Are you willing and ready to do the work? Are you really ready and willing to invest what it takes to invest, whether it be money, time, effort, energy, learning new things? Either way, if you can't say I'm ready and willing to invest all of it to the ability that I can, within the time frame that you're working with and the finances and whatever you might have, the truth is, if you can't say yes to that, I'm willing to invest all of it, you're just postponing your journey. And yeah, you could probably continuously say to yourself, no, I'll just, hope that I'll stumble upon a TikTok video where it just clicks and whatever. Chances are you're going to be looking for a long time. You're going to be looking for a long, long, long time. Do the work. Invest in yourself. Get yourself that much closer to your manifestation. And if you're not ready for that, then that's fine. But then say that to yourself. Be honest about that. Take a step back and say, I'm prioritizing something else right now. And that's totally and completely fair too, but you need to do the work. Okay, the third thing is the discomfort. The cost of your manifestation is your discomfort. Okay? Now, this one is super interesting as well, because when we have to do something different, chances are, unless you're a sociopath, you will feel discomfort. It'll be uncomfortable for you and you won't be amazing at it the first time around. You're going to stumble. You might feel a little bit uncertain at times. It might feel like you're really like crossing your own boundaries or whatever, or you're really trying something new that you would have never done. And so there can be a lot of discomfort in this. So again, like the reason why I said unless you're a sociopath is because your ego probably is not like, oh, I'm the greatest at everything. So you just kind of go for it even if you suck at it. Like we know these people who just like, I can sing, and then they can't sing, and then they go on X Factor and whatever. Is X Factor even still a thing? I don't even know. I think it's just the voice at this point. But the point is that, unless you have this grandiose sense of self, chances are that the moment you decide to do something different, there's going to be a lot of discomfort involved. And it's the same thing as the first time you go to the gym in a long time. If you try to lose weight or gain muscle or whatever it might be, the first time you go to the gym and you work out, the next few days, you're going to be sore. It's going to be uncomfortable. Even being at the gym, maybe, potentially the first few times can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like, I don't really belong. I don't feel as fit as the other people. And maybe if you feel like everybody's looking at you or whatever. And it's kind of the same thing when you're trying to manifest something, because of the fact that you now have to step into that new version of you where the thing has already happened and Allah has already answered your prayer, however it may look. you now are in a position where everything you're doing, essentially, like in the spiritual sense, at the very least, in when it comes to law of attraction, but also quite often in the physical sense, in like the physical actions that you might take in the 3D world, is that it's something new. It's something you haven't done before. In order to do something you've never achieved, you need to do something you've never done before, right? You can't continue doing the same thing and hope for a different result. That's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. We're not doing that here. We're doing something different to get a different result. We can also stay stagnant where we are and do the same things, but then of course our manifestations are not going to come any closer to us. We're basically constantly repelling them because we are not aligning ourselves with the thing. But the more we try to align ourselves and we work on aligning ourselves with our manifestation, the more discomfort we will be in, essentially. And this is important. Essentially, this is not an ongoing thing. It is not that you will be uncomfortable for the rest of days. It is until you find peace with that new reality. And so for some people, it can be quite immediate. For other people, it can take some time. I often find, like, as a former personal trainer, it usually took a couple of months before people kind of started looking forward to coming into the gym and working out with me. And that's not because I'm a horrible person or anything like that, but it's because at some point your body gets used to, oh, we work out a couple of times a week. Cool. I'm craving that kind of movement now. I'm craving the release of endorphins. I'm craving being stimulated in that way. And then it becomes easier. So the discomfort slowly disappears and we get ourselves a new habit, a new routine. And it's the same thing with law of attraction. But at first, there's going to be the discomfort. At first, it's going to feel uncomfortable because you're going to feel like you're a fraud, or you're a, what is it called? Like when you feel like you're a fake person, not fake person, imposter syndrome. That's the word I was looking for. You're going to have that imposter syndrome, but I'm not this person, or, oh my God, who am I to set up a new business? Who am I to, go ahead and get married at this point in my life or whatever? You're going to feel that discomfort to begin with, but stay at it. The discomfort will go away as this new thing becomes your norm, becomes your reality. But at first, it'll cost you that discomfort. You have to get through that discomfort, that fog, the heavy, heavy fog of discomfort, in order to get over on the other side where everything seems a little bit clearer and less uncomfortable for you, and like second nature. Okay, excuse my tongue ties. The fourth and final thing that I would like to mention in this episode is that the cost of your manifestation is the uncertainty that you will feel, right? That sounds a little scary, right? None of us like to feel uncertain. We are all creatures of comfort, of habit, and routines. And so there's, and the thing that we get from that is kind of being able somewhat to predict what's going to happen and when we go to work at this time, when we meet these friends, when we go to this place for dinner, we know what to expect. So there's no uncertainty. And to a large extent, most of us are sort of trained or sort of not trained, what's it called? We're raised in a way by society, by a family, by everything, that uncertainty is bad. We need to look for certainty. And there's also quite like a biological sort of survival instinct in there of wanting that certainty, that, of course, like biologically speaking, or whatever you want to call it, evolutionarily speaking, that may have been relevant at one point, but now maybe is less so relevant, but it's still in there, still ingrained in us, right? But that uncertainty that we're sometimes chasing is not necessarily the thing that's going to give us the most pleasure in life. It's not going to give us the things that we want in this life. In fact, sometimes it is the certain stuff that keeps us stuck, whereas the uncertain stuff gets us to elevate, to go to that next step, to get us to the next level where we are more appreciative of our lives, where we connect more with Allah, where we connect more with the people around us, where our deen grows, all of these things. It takes us to go to that next step. But in order for us to get there, there has to be a level of uncertainty, because we don't know what's going to come at the end of it. We take a step and we don't know if we have to take 2 steps or 2,000 steps. All we know is I got to start with a step. And that is the thing about manifestation. You got to start off kind of thinking, this is the goal. I know where my goal is. It's somewhere out there. Now, I don't know if it's going to take me 2 years to get there or 2 weeks, but all I know is I need to take a step in that direction. And as I'm taking that step, there's a level of uncertainty because I cannot predict the future or the outcome of any of my actions, but I'm taking it with, now this is the trig, uncertainty with tawakkul. uncertainty with a level of tawakkul. So even when you're taking a step into uncertainty, you don't know what's going to happen at the end of those steps that you're taking and how many steps it's going to take. There's that tawakkul that you're constantly leaning up against, the tawakkul and the promises that Allah has made in this dunya for us. And those are the things that we're leaning up against, that Allah doesn't let a dua go unanswered, that Allah is there to support. And also when we use one of the episodes that I published recently was about surrender manifestation. When we surrender our expectations, it is easier for Allah to come in and bless us more abundantly than what we had in mind. So the expectation of what we want, of the goal to look like, might look different if we go into it with that tawakkul and surrender. So the uncertainty has a religious, a spiritual sort of shield, which is the tawakkul. Right? That's the shield. I'm uncertain, but I have the shield. So it doesn't feel as much like I am just running into a dark room. It's maybe like I'm running into a dark room, but I've got a padded suit on, like a suit that if I was to hit anything, it's not going to hurt as much because I've got tawakkul. And that's kind of the idea of it. There's still uncertainty, but the uncertainty feels protected. It feels safe. It feels like you're not running in blind. It feels like while you can't see, you've got the most all-seeing eyes on the journey ahead of you, for you, on your behalf. And that's what you need to continuously lean back on. But there has to be a level of uncertainty. And that is the cost of your manifestation as well. And that can be very, very uncomfortable for us. Again, because we do seek certainty in this life. And we are raised to seek certainty to the point where, I don't know how much it is now, but back when I first started as a self-employed, as an entrepreneur, setting up my own businesses and stuff, people would be like, oh, I don't know how you do it. I need the certainty and stability of a check every month. And I remember thinking that was the most ludicrous thing that I'd ever heard, because to me, that sounded like a bigger risk or a bigger gamble, because at any moment, somebody else could choose for them that they no longer had a job there. So the certainty would be taken away from them without them even having a say at what's going on. So the illusion as well, there's that we hold on to the certainty around us. Now, that was just an example that I keep thinking about when I'm talking about certainty or thinking about certainty, because ultimately nothing is certain because we're not Allah. We don't know what's going to happen and when. And so there has to be that level of tawakkul that will carry us through it, even when we feel like, no, this is the certain, my life is built on certainties. This is how much money I get every month. This is where I live. This is what I eat. This is who I hang out with. But then all of a sudden, Allah will come in and say, and you're going to lose your job and this person's going to die. And then your whole world is rocked upside down because you don't know how to deal with uncertainty. You don't know how to have that tawakkul. So practice that already from now on. There has to be a level of certainty in the uncertain. And the level of certainty in the uncertain is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the certainty that you need to seek out in these moments when you're taking those first uncertain steps towards your manifestation. And if you can continue to do that, inshallah, you will find exactly what it is that you are meant to find at the end of that road for you. All right, my darling, that was just a little quickie one for you there. Just to sum it up for you, the cost of your manifestation is the old version of what that manifestation looks like to you. And remember, that could be in physical terms, that you might have to get rid of some things. It could be in relationship terms, that you're not hanging out anymore or don't have as much energy or time for specific people in your life. Or it could be the mental space, the old version of how you thought about certain things, your old beliefs and things around certain things, and letting go of that and stepping fully into the new version. The second thing is doing the work. You need to sit down and do the work. The more you cut corners with this step, the longer it's going to take you to reach your destination. So you could continuously be postponing the manifestation, or you could do the work and call it into your life much quicker. The third thing you can do, the third cost of your manifestation is the discomfort you're going to feel. It's going to be uncomfortable to begin with. This is almost certain. Very apropos. This is almost certain. For some people, it'll feel more uncomfortable than for other people, depending on what it is that you're trying to manifest now. Some of the manifestations that you're working towards can feel more uncomfortable than others. But either way, there will be a level of discomfort because you're breaking these old habits and rituals and traditions and ways that you've been doing things that have quote unquote kept you safe for all of these years, and you're trying something new. And so you might feel that uncomfortability in trying those new things because you've never stepped on that land before. So it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel a little different. But don't worry, the discomfort doesn't continue on forever and a day. It actually stops once you get used to that next chapter of your life. And finally, but certainly not the least thing, is the uncertainty, but it's the uncertainty with tawakkul. That is the cost of your manifestation. There will be uncertain times. You don't know how it's going to go. You don't have everything, a calendar on your wall with every day how it's going to look at this point and that point, and be able to roadmap it exactly out the way it's going to be and how it's going to look at the end of it. But you'll have an outline, and as long as you keep running towards that outline, you need to have the tawakkul that Allah sees the clear picture when all you see is a fragment of it. So uncertainty with a level of tawakkul, and the certainty in the uncertain is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there you go, my darling. I hope there was something in this episode that you could benefit from, that was new to you, that was something that you needed to hear. As always, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment, leave a review, do all the good things, share the podcast with your friends, your family, anybody who might benefit from hearing it. And until next time, my darling friend, please don't forget to live in love.